Hi everybody, Adam Steele here, and today is Black Friday. Hope all the Americans had a good, happy Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, all that kind of stuff. But for the rest of us in the world and the Americans, Black Friday sales are now on. So let's have a good look at what we have in store for musicians, producers, all the kind of good deals. Let's check it out. So we're going to start with a load of plugins and courses and all that kind of stuff that is related to me. Obviously, this is kind of like the sponsorship part of the video, although it is all, I genuinely believe, good courses, good plugins, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll move on later to stuff that I don't have affiliate links or anything for, but are still really good plugins that I use all the time. So without further ado, let's change the screen to this one, Pro Mix Academy's Reaper Mega Bundle. So I am known as the Reaper educator, of course, and this Mega Bundle combines the ultimate guide to Reaper, where I take you right the way through recording an entire band's worth of production, MIDI, setup, all that kind of stuff. And it also includes a full course that I did on what reverb and delay are, and different types and how they affect a mix, what EQ is and how different vintage types and modern types can affect you, and what phases and all that kind of stuff, and how EQ can be really powerful and can cause you problems if you're not careful, and the Audio Essentials compression, which is again about vintage compressors, modern compressors, different types, goes through exactly what things like attack and release and threshold and all that kind of stuff actually do and what their relevance is to you. So if you were thinking about buying the Reaper course, then for an extra $2, you get all the extra stuff in there. So that link is at the top. If you're looking in the description, there's a big list of links right at the top, and this is the very top one. So give that a look. Next, I'm going to look at the Pro Mix Academy Everything Bundle, which is from the same people, but this has both of those courses and everything else. It's got the Pro Tools course, it's got music production masterclasses with Grammy winners, and all sorts of amazing things. Misha Mansour from Periphery's drum programming guide is in here. There's all sorts of stuff that just blows my mind. Bob Marlette's in there, Ulrich Wild, Jordan Valeriot, mixing modern metal. There's all sorts in there, and it's just, this'll bring you up to speed on like Grammy winning level production. If it doesn't, then you're kind of doing it wrong. So yeah, there's so much good stuff. There's even a course about how to scream properly with Britta Gertz, which I did a video with Britta and she was awesome. So that's in there. And if you bought them all separately, it would be about $5,000. So now it's less than $500. If you click on that link to go to that, there are other bundles on there too. If you click on any of those bundles, that does help me out with the affiliate kind of share thing. You don't need to spend $500 there. They do smaller bundles too, like metal production, rock production, all that kind of stuff. Next up is Two Notes, my friends at Two Notes. There are loads of packs of cabinets on there that have a massive sale right now, and they are my packs as well as everybody else. There's the Progressive Metal pack, which has some of my favourite cabs in, including the Zilla Big Beast and the Fat Boy with a few different cabinets in. There's my oversized Marshall, my custom sealed back vertical 412 is in there. So that's a link that I'm going to put in there. But if you buy any of the Hot Pole Studios stuff from Two Notes, which is all on a massive sale right now, then 50% of that does go to me. So that massively helps me out. But I'm really proud of the stuff we've done with Two Notes. If you're using Wall of Sound, or maybe you're thinking about using the upcoming Genome, which is the new plugin whole software suite that's coming from Two Notes very soon, you can buy those now at a massively discounted rate, and they will work in Genome. They'll work on your Captor X or Cab M, all that kind of stuff. They just naturally load into those through the programs. Next up is my good buddy Glenn Fricker and his Extinction Level Event drum kit, which is really good. I produced a whole album for an artist called Joel Boone recently. We did live streams of that, and the drums on that were the ELE, Extinction Level Event, and they sounded fantastic. It's one of those setups that's got a button that if you press it will have the raw drum tracks so you can process them as you see fit, or you have that the other way around, and everything just sounds like it belongs in a mix. Not too clicky, not too metal. It all just kind of sounds like it belongs in a good mix. Also, Glenn has the Specter Academy, which has Scott Elliott's guitar tone mastery, Henning's complete guide to drum programming, the vocal performance and technique course from Ty from Lords of the Trident, which I am going to watch this weekend because he's got tips in there about not damaging your voice, and I really kind of need that because I'm getting to the point where if I push too hard, I'm starting to feel vocal damage. So well worth it, and there's massive sales on all of this kind of stuff right now, like $50 off that. Right. Now, if you want to buy physical stuff, and let's say for a minute that you're in Europe, UK, all that kind of place, Tallman has their Cyber Week going on, and they've got loads of stuff with like 20% off. If ever you were wanting anything like drum stuff, guitar stuff, production stuff, now's probably the time to go and get it from Tallman's Cyber Week sale, because there's loads of stuff on there that you might want. Like there's guitars, there's keyboards, there's all sorts of stuff. Ooh, £500 off a Music Man John Bertucci. Yeah, I can't afford that. But if you can and you've been looking for a sale, there you go. Alternatively, if you're in the US, Sweetwater has their Black Friday sale going on. And that's got some really good deals on here as well, including one I will talk about again, which is the Isotope Holiday Bundle. If you get the Isotope bundle from Sweetwater, then I do get an affiliate kickback, whereas we'll talk about Isotope again later maybe. They don't have an affiliate link for me right now, which is my own fault. I was supposed to set one up, but yeah, I didn't do that in time, so that's my fault. But yeah, there's loads and loads of good stuff. Like there's the Shure SM7B is on sale. I'm using one right here, right now, and it sounds like this. So yeah, there's loads of good stuff on here. If you're in the US, now is a good time to go and buy your things. And there is an affiliate thing there that I get a little bit of a kickback from that. Waves today just came out with their new BB Tubes plugin, and the little tube plugin is free today, so go and get that from them. If you click on the link that is in my description, again, I get a bit of an affiliate kickback from any of the Waves stuff. I know that a lot of the Waves stuff is kind of, older, shall we say, but there is still some stuff that they do that I use all the time. I use Talk, which is kind of their drum tuning plugin, especially on kick drums. It really gives me a low end that you can't get any other way. I use Low Air on bass. I use R-Bass a lot because R-Bass can kind of thicken a bass in a different way than an EQ would do. It's really kind of cool. And I've used the little tubes and BB tubes. There's a video coming out on that later today. And let's have a look. The de-esser, the classic de-esser, is always a favourite of mine. I've started using Wave C4 again on a snare drum because it can give me a low-end crack that again, is really hard to get any other way. So yeah, a lot of stuff that I don't use from Waves, there is stuff that I do use from Waves. So yeah, if there's any particular plugin that you want, they're all as low as they're ever going to go in terms of sale price. I know they're persistently on sale, but some of the stuff is even more on sale right now. And if you buy anything right now, that would help me out. So click that link in the description below. Also, if you like the idea of auto-tune, they've got massive deals on stuff on the Antares website. So check that out too. And if you've recorded your stuff and you're looking at getting it released, consider using DistroKid. If I go to the DistroKid homepage, this is where you go to get your stuff on iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, TikTok even, all that kind of stuff. And you do it through here and you pay something like $20 a year, and then that's done. And you can upload as many songs as you want. And that makes life so much easier for me. I'm going to be uploading more material as I record it in the next year through DistroKid. And if you click that and sign up to DistroKid, then I get a $10 kickback. So yeah, that's also massively appreciated. Now that concludes the section where I get anything, and the rest is just me saying I like these plugins or I like these people. Check out these deals if it's something you've been considering. Now is a good time. So hidden on the Solemnity website, which is where Melodyne comes from, is a whole set of Melodyne sales. And I highly recommend, if you don't have Melodyne, that you get it, because it's really good for ironing out things like vocals. And I use it on pretty much every vocal. It's for me, it is the best tuning software still, Melodyne 5. So one really, really cheap way to get up to the version I use, which is Melodyne Assistant, is to buy Melodyne Essential if you don't already have it. With Melodyne Essential comes with so many programs these days, but if you've not got Melodyne Essential, it's okay, but some of the advanced features I miss are really important. So Melodyne Assistant is the version I use. And so you can get Melodyne Essential if you don't already have it for €50, which is like, $60. Then you can upgrade to Melodyne Assistant with a $69 upgrade. So you can kind of jump and do that. And doing that will get you a very affordable version of the best version of Melodyne that you're probably going to need. If you get into polyphonic stuff, there is then Melodyne Editor and Melodyne Studio, which I don't use because they're just too advanced for what I do. But the fact that they are options there, it's pretty cool. I mean, I could upgrade from Melodyne Assistant to Studio for €249 there, but like I said, I don't need that, but I could do. And that's very cool of them to offer that. So that's the Black Friday sale from Melodyne. The guys at Kazrock have just come out with this great EQ called True 252 that I've been using on all my guitars. It's really kind of wide, sweep, musical, very kind of analog, if that can be such a thing. I've been using it on the mix of the Mesetto album that I'm working on right now, on one of the guitars that was just a little bit too stuffy in the mids, but most EQs made it sound kind of scooped. I used the EQ here, and it just naturally, softly made things sound so much more natural without getting nasty. There's also other stuff on here. There's the Amp Craft, which I did a video on, the 1992, which is a PV5150, and it's the most realistic sounding, in my opinion, 5150 sim that I have heard. I think the Neural Quad Cortex sounds as good, but those things are well over £1,000 and a big chunk of a brick. This is on sale for £21, which is way cheaper than any of the Neural stuff, for example. And there's also K-Clip 3, which is a really good mastering limiter and also just good track limiter. True Iron I use a lot of the time. It's kind of a thickener that makes everything sound like it came through Transformers, which is very subtle. But I use it on a lot of different tracks very, very subtly, and it just makes everything sound thicker. Thick is a good thing in my mix opinion. Thick is not the same as stuffy, and finding the balance between the two, very hard. So yeah, Kazrock have really got that nailed down. Riff Hard, my good friend John Brown runs Riff Hard. That's the rock and metal guitar school that really helps you to get your chuggity kind of stuff down. It's really improved my playing. I've probably seen more Riff Hard stuff than most people because I used to edit all the videos. Dean Lamb from Archspire down there, I edited all of that stuff. Dean Lamb's really funny and really good. Dan Sugarman from Ice Nine Kills, I think I edited all that stuff too. And Wes Hauck, who is from Alluvial and is one of the best metal guitarists in the world right now, I edited all that stuff too. And it's all well worth watching if you want to get cleaner guitars, if you want to get better at guitar. Not necessarily kind of stuff, but just generally having a better recording technique, better playing technique. Definitely go and check this out. You can get a whole year of Riff Hard for $179, which is really a bargain if you kind of stick with them as part of the community, because there's the King of the Riff competition every month, where if you write a song, you can win like guitars and gear and all sorts of stuff. And it's just a community as well, where even when you're not looking at the lessons, everybody is really kind of constantly in contact with each other. You make a lot of friends, and everybody, I mean, not just making friends, but friends with a common goal, whose common goal is to help each other out to get better at what they do. And yeah, I don't do as much at the Riff Hard community as I would like because I'm crazy busy, but it's a good place to be, so highly recommended. SoundToys. SoundToys make some amazing plugins. Decapitator is something I use on pretty much every vocal. It's a distortion plugin that really lets them sit in a mix. Devil Lock is one of the most brutal drum compressors I think I've ever heard. Microshift I'm using on a mix right now because it kind of makes things sound kind of 3D. whilst not actually being 3D, it's a very clever trick that can be used on things like backing vocals. I actually use it on bass quite a lot, which is a bit of a weird thing to do, but hey, I am a bit weird, so it works for me. And so it's usually kind of an expensive set of plugins there, $500, but now it's down to $230, which I think is the lowest I've ever seen it. If you've got any of their free plugins, they'll mean that you can upgrade for even cheaper, which is what I did a couple of years ago. And you don't have to buy every single plugin. A lot of them are available for a lot less. So if you just want Decapitated, Devil Lock, go ahead and get those. It's well worth doing, I think. Sounds Soothe. Where would I be without Soothe? My word, Soothe is incredible. I use probably 2 or 3 copies of Soothe on every mix, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because it's a really, really clever technology that years ago, I remember sitting in my bedroom and thinking, why isn't this a thing? Because what it does is it listens dynamically for certain frequencies, and when they're too loud, it pulls that specific frequency down just for that little moment, which is very different to using an EQ. An EQ will take a frequency down all the time, which if you've got something that's a constant pain in the ear, great. But something like, let's say, a drum overhead, where most of the time you want it to be quite bright and clear and ting, 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 ting. Then a drum really hits a crash and there's just a kind of a note in there that's really painful. You only want that to be gone for that couple of seconds while that drum hits on. And yes, you can do that with automation. You can do it with a dynamic EQ. But if you do it with automation, it'll take you all day. If you do it with a dynamic EQ, it'll only do one particular frequency. But what if a different cymbal has a different nasty note at a different place? It's going to take you all day. Or let Soothe do it. As long as you don't go overboard, you can use it as a really good de-esser on vocals, which, because it will specifically cut out where that S is and not just the whole thing, you can use it on drum overheads, which is what I do all the time. That was my example. Sometimes I'll use it on a particularly scratchy guitar if I've been sent something that sounds good and I want that high end but not on certain bits. So yeah, Soothe, and Soothe 2 is the new version, which is really, really good. Highly recommended. And so it's now on sale. It's still not super cheap, but well worth it. Slate Digital, their countdown literally just finished. So FGX2 should be in there somewhere if that's not been announced already. So yeah, check out FGX2. It's finally been released. The All Access Pass, I think there is a deal on the All Access Pass right now. Yeah, starting at $9.99 a month. So yeah, I use a lot of the virtual mix rack stuff. I have a story to tell about the virtual, about Slate and stuff, but I'll tell that in another video, because this is not the time and place for the tea, so to speak. But now that they're now owned by a different company, I'm fine with them again. So yes, the Slate stuff is great. I use their virtual tape a lot. I use the virtual bus compressors on things like drum buses, guitar buses. Not so much on the mix bus these days, but that's because of something I'll come to in a minute. And there's just so much of the Slate stuff that is really, really useful to me. Moving on, Submission Audio. Those guys make a lot of bass plugins, which really I don't need because I'm a bass player first and foremost. But what they do make is Double Tap, which is the most amazing bass compressor I think I've used. It's got a low-end compressor and then an overall compressor, and it just keeps your bass guitar just perfectly nailed in the mix. Incredible. And also their mastering grade clipper, which is what I use on my output to make things loud without sounding absolutely disgusting, is something that I swear by and use on every mix. So well worth getting, especially at these prices. I've really started to use the Acoustic audio stuff recently. It's big file downloads, it's high CPU usage, it's a lot of latency, but honestly, a lot of their stuff is some of the best sounding versions of like software emulations of classic gear I have ever heard. Like Gold 4 is what I'm using on. I'm using Gold 4 on my guitar groups, on my bass groups. I'm looking at a big mix on another screen here. And it's basically Neve stuff and loads of different Neve things. So like I'm generally using it as a homebrew 1073 with a classic Neve compressor and a mixed bus saturation. And it just sounds so clear compared to a lot of its competition. It sounds like a real Neve desk to me. So I don't care about the CPU usage and the fact that it's quite a large download. It's well worth it for me. There's a few in there that are really, really good. And I know different people who swear by different ones, like Scott from Chernobyl Studios loves the Pink, which is the API emulation. I'm not a big fan of API in general. Don't dislike it, but given the choice, I tend to go for something else. What's the other one? Viridian, if you want that one. That one is one that I really like. Viridian should be in here somewhere. That one, yeah, there it is more kind of the Telefunken, the V72 and V76 style preamps and all the classic kind of early Beatles and Motown stuff. I love that one. But pretty much everything you can think of as well-known gear is in here somewhere. Like Magenta is an emulation of all the Manly stuff, like the Manly Slam, and really sounds like it. And again, I've become not a big fan of the Manly sound generally, but that's not a slight on them. That's just my personal preference. Top, the tape emulator, I'm using that on my vocal group because it just thickens things up in a really nice way that is quite different from something like Slate's virtual tape machine. And so there's loads of really good stuff to go at here. And so, yeah, have a quick look through, maybe have a quick Google about what emulations they have that match what hardware you like, because I don't think they're legally allowed to say what they're making it sound like. But there's loads of stuff in here that is, yeah, it's CPU heavy, but it really is some of the best sounding plugins that I think you can buy. Then there's Boz at Boz Labs. I really like some of the stuff that Boz does. And the one that I use all the time still is one called Transgressor. Transgressor is incredible. Let's find it. Where are you? Transgressor is, oh wow, down to $29 from $150. This thing is an absolute lifesaver on drums that I get sent that are not ideal, because it's a 2-band transient processor, but it's also kind of an EQ, but it's also kind of not, where I can do things like I can EQ and mold the hit of a drum separately from the ring of the drum. So I can have more ring, more attack, less attack, but I can brighten the attack. I can mid-scoop the attack or mid-boost the attack, so it's got more of a doomph to it, but then mid-scoop the ring afterwards, so it doesn't just suck up my entire mix. And it's really, really powerful for that kind of thing. It's something that, yeah, I highly, highly recommend, because if you've got something that's not virtual drums, it's real drums, and you've got kind of issues with, say, bleed on your toms or on your snare, and you want to do something to like maybe make them a bit brighter and more snappy, but not have more high-end come through, Transgressor is an absolute winner for that. So yeah, highly recommend that. PSP AudioWare, I use their Infinistrip a lot. I flip-flop between using the Slate Virtual Mix Rack and Infinistrip. From what I've found in my experience, Virtual Mix Rack is really good from Slate at making things kind of sound thick and warm and kind of full, where Infinistrip is really good at making things sound kind of lively and bright and clear. And maybe it's the way I'm using it, maybe it's the way that the layout presents itself to me, but I definitely find that if I'm not getting enough clarity out of something, like I've got a drum kit in this particular mix that I sent to Glenn Fricker this week, and he said it was the best mix I've ever done. And all the drums are all going through PSP Infinistrips, and the kick and snare naturally sounded more crisp, the toms were clear, the hi-hats were, perfectly in place, all using Infinistrip. So yeah, it's got all your compressors and EQs and drives and all that kind of stuff in there. And it's just really, really good at doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's a Black Friday sale going on with them. So absolutely check that out. And of course, they also do the classic vintage warmer, which is older than time, but does some wonderful things to buses and mixes that really belies the fact that it's been around for such a long time. Good processing is good processing, so that's definitely worth thinking about. And there we are. I think I've been through just about every plugin that I currently use, whether it's something that actually helps me or not. I hope you've found some interesting suggestion in there. Like I said, all the plugins are in the description. All the courses are down there, all the affiliate links. Anything that helps me out is probably the stuff at the top of the list. But even if it isn't, that's fine, because I want to make sure you guys get the best deals on the stuff that works best for you. So hope you found this useful. Thank you everybody for watching. Thanks to the patrons on Patreon for helping me out. You're always amazing. Thank you everybody. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.